Just a few more hours playing Fortnite. Yeah, good. I need people to wash my cars. While you are getting drunk and going to parties, I'm actually working on my businesses. And in a couple of months, when you're gonna see me in Dubai and living my dream life, you're just gonna call me lucky and hate. Just watch.
There are two types of reactions to this video, and those reactions bring us to the title of this video. At what age should you start grinding? Here's my unique perspective from someone who's been grinding since I was 13. So first, I just like to say something very important. That's the first part of our video. School is not stupid. This kid didn't necessarily say that school was not good. The way he's speaking makes it just seem like he's more rebelling against everything that his parents and the society stands for. School's important. Studies have shown that only like 30 to 40% of businesses are successful. And only like 1% of those businesses are gonna make enough money to be like this kid who wants to go to Dubai. Most of them, you'll be making slightly more than minimum wage. And studies have shown that kids that are working more than 15 hours per week will suffer grade point losses, on average. And something that I feel bad for this kid for is it seems like he's been listening to a lot of business guru, top G videos. I'm not sure he even knows if business is right for him. A regular job gives you reliability. You know how much work you have to do, you know what work that's gotta be due every day you walk in. You also have to work way less. Now there are exceptions for very rich people who work less than an 8-hour week, but that's usually after they've worked 12, 16-hour days for a long time beforehand. And a regular job is much safer. Yeah, you could get laid off or fired at any point in time, but if you're salaried and full-time, then you're gonna get reverence. And if you're working like a minimum wage job or part-time, then you can usually find another one. In business, you don't know when your next money is gonna come in. On a regular job, your payroll is consistent. You know about how much money you're gonna get and exactly when you're gonna get it. Honestly, seems pretty good. I think a lot of people like that because there's a lot less risk involved, there's a lot less anxiety involved, and it's a much more stable way of life. And so you want to do good in school because you want that path open for if business isn't for you or if business is not working for you. Because grinding super hard and letting your grades suffer is not a good decision. If you want to work on a business, just work as much as you can while keeping your grades around the same level. This means you might need to drop things like video games. Not completely, but reduce their hours. Anyways, I made a video on why you should quit video games anyways. But of course you can do both. As an example, I'm still a high schooler, and my grades have stayed pretty consistent. The only grade that's dropped over the last year when I started doing business has been gym, and that hasn't been grade specific. Mostly me not caring about switching my personality in front of my gym teacher. Just like a quick side note, our gym teacher doesn't just grade us based on wearing gym clothes, but also grades us on if we're being kind and respectful. And he takes trash talk to your friends as disrespectful, so I lose a lot of points for that. But I was a straight 90s, straight A student before I started business, and I'm still a straight 90s, straight A student now. And I've added on extra college classes too. So if anything, I'm doing more school and more work at the same time. You're never going to experience another time in your life like this. In the book Outsiders, which I know every middle schooler in America has read, someone, I don't remember who, says, "Nothing gold can stay." What this person means is that you seeing the world as this curious place to explore and learn about and to play video games and to be with friends is going to go away. Now, I'm basically just speaking to the people that haven't already lost their gold per se and see all the terrible things that happen in the world. But grinding super hard is just gonna bring you out of that gold. The only reason that you grind hard, even though it's not fun, is because you've lost your gold. Now there's two sides to this coin. Should you try to stay in your gold as much as possible? Or should you try to leave as soon as possible? For me personally, I stopped seeing the world in gold around like 14. This is for a bunch of reasons about me reading about the news and seeing all the terrible stuff happening, or reading history and seeing a lot of historical trends that aren't so good, or seeing how terrible some of my family members were being. And that's when I thought about grinding and getting ahead in the future, help like my children and whatnot. Was it a good thing that I left this gold period of my life, or was it a bad thing? Well, in general, I think it's probably a good thing to stay in your gold, but there are some caveats. A part of me regrets all the time I spent playing video games as I was younger, playing Minecraft from like 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. every day during the summer. But those years gave me time to develop. to the point where I can manage all the stress and goals I set for myself now. I don't believe a 13-year-old Dylan would be able to spend all the time I do on work and still be able to be a decent person to be around with family and friends. I mean, even today, I can't manage all the time remembering to do my chores or ask my parents to help prepare me for my road test. There is a point where you go too far and where kids are coddled a lot as a child, and then once they leave college or even further into their life, that's when the world just gives them a big slap on the face because they realize that the world is not gold. However, I think most people lose their goal between the ages of like 13 and 16. And I think that's a good spot to lose your goal. Once you get to that age, you've developed quite a lot. And it's a perfect point in your life where you get to risk on new things without having the wealth, the job, the family, and all of that holding you down. It's a great point where you could try to achieve the success before you go to college, and then that's your path that you have to go down. Otherwise, you're gonna make no money, and this degree is gonna be worthless. And once you lose your goal around this age, learning about all the terrible things, you have two choices. You can either try to ignore it as much as possible, or run straight at the world. I think running straight at the world and trying to combat and trying to succeed is much stronger than ignoring all the hard facts of life. Instead of ignoring that bad thing about your family or ignoring what's going on in your country, you should do something about it. But don't be too extreme about this, because grinding too young can be toxic to the brain. The kid that you were listening to earlier was not talking about his dream. He was talking about the dream that these top G business gurus kept telling them to do this. Kept telling him, this is the only way to live. This is how you be successful. This is how you get everything you want. Now this 12-year-old is talking about going to Dubai. Like, what? What I think happened is that he doesn't know what he wants, and so he's just listening to the people that are yelling at him the loudest and going along with that. If he doesn't actually find fulfillment from business, he's gonna have a rude awakening in a couple years. Okay, so taking all this into account, what's the final verdict here? I'm in a privileged position where I got to maintain my goal in my early years, unlike kids in like downtown Chicago, but also lost my goal before I was far into life, like coddled kids. I think to fully understand this question for yourself, you need to understand something about business. I was making businesses when I was like 13, but I only started grinding on a business 6 months ago, or around 16 and a half. I'll tell all of you kids out there, as a kid himself, it is not all sunshine and rainbows. Every video I make takes over 10 hours to make, 3 hours of researching, 1 hour scripting, 1 hour recording, 5 hours of editing, another hour doing the thumbnail and the rest of the YouTube work. And then once I'm done with that video, I don't have too much time to rest. I've got to go right back at it to make an even better video next week. Doesn't want to grow, I gotta keep making better and better videos every week. Like today, I really just wanted to play video games. So bad I wanted to play video games. But then I realized that I have work to do. I've got to post a video in 2 days. I've got to get work done. So the last like 2 hours, I've just been working on scripting this video, recording this video, and then once I'm done with this, I'm gonna start editing my video. Now I've got to balance all of this with 40 hours of school and 10 hours of work every week. Taking into account the average free time of an American per week, which is based on a 40-hour work week, which I'll just swap in for school, that means my business and work are taking away 20 hours out of 35, which means I have 15 hours a week of free time. What you say is about correct. I mean, I would say that I do have a lot of free time within school, and so it's not a perfect comparison. Like there's plenty of times where I'm just in school playing a game called Brawl Stars, or I'm just on the bus watching YouTube. But for the most part, once I get out of school, only 15 of my 35 hours can be spent free time. That's not even enough for how much most people watch TV. Imagine if I was a sports kid too. I don't know how I would balance this. That's why people always say, oh Dylan, you're like 6'4", you're gonna start playing basketball for your school? No man, I ain't got no time. So, if you're younger than 13, don't worry about starting a business. You've got plenty of time, and so just try to enjoy some of your childhood. And don't let these top G business gurus brainwash you into start grinding from the age of 10, and to never hang out with friends, and to dismiss your family and whatnot. If you're a teenager, understand that if you want to be successful with business, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. But I say, if you're willing to make that sacrifice, I think it's a great idea for you to start grinding from a young age. Now, if you're one of those kids that want to start grinding young, and I think if you're still here at this video, you do, check out my video on how to make a business in high school, where I give you all the necessary tips and tricks to take advantage of your time in school to make a business. After subscribing, make sure to put in the work, put in the hour, and think better.